One drill that I really like for this is just a little preset drill, and you see the best players in the world doing it. They take the set up, just check it, get you in the right position, over the ball. I'm going to preset, check it, I'm going to bring my eyes away from the golf ball, I'm going to check I'm happy with the position, I'm going to feel my right elbow nice and soft into my body, back to the ball, turn and hit. A lesson that I give really regularly through the Skillist app, which is my online coaching platform, is all about wrist angles, and particularly how we start the golf swing, how they are so important in the takeaway. I do this with a lot of golfers, and with this first part of the video, I'm just going to talk you through a little bit about setup, because often setup leads to a really poor takeaway. So for example, one of my students, Jordan, out in the US, he was really struggling. What I kind of called like quite an inconsistent movement pattern through the backswing. He kind of got really close to the golf ball at setup. He then almost wanted to try and find some space, so we got disconnected on the way back. Almost then realized that that's too outside, and then really flattened it out, and then got a little bit across the line. So by moving the golf club around a little bit too much, it just created a bit of inconsistency. So one of the things that I've got to say to everybody is about setup. Make sure that when you're taking your setup, one thing we don't want to do, we don't want to create this reverse C in the spine. You don't have to stick your butt out, okay? So what I would do is get the belt buckle, tuck your belt buckle into your belly button, keep your lower back nice and straight, and just roll forwards there, okay? So what happens is your butt's just outside of your heels. It's a great way of doing this is you go into a wall in your house or wherever, straighten out your lower back, get your feet around about a club head and a half away from the wall, and just roll forward until your backside hits that wall. That's plenty of tilt, okay? Let your arms hang naturally from the shoulders, and as a general rule, let your arms just push out a centimetre, an inch or so from the shoulders. Give yourself that little bit of space, and you want to be able just to kind of wave your hand in between your thighs and the butt of the golf club, so you've got some space already. So from that position, we can start to use the hands correctly. Now, I'm going to use this alignment stick here as a reference point. This alignment stick, obviously on the grass, you could put it into the ground. I like to use the plates because I can move it around. If I'm hitting balls off grass, I want to be able to move it a little bit as well when I take a divot. So I've got this, the alignment stick there is a similar angle to the shaft of the golf club. And what I want to try and do is make sure the golf club doesn't start waving on the outside of it and then working around and hitting it. What I want to try and do here, my hands are going to travel a very short distance. The golf club is going to travel from the ground to waist height. My hands are going to travel from the center of my stance, or maybe just on the inside of the lead thigh, to the outside of my right thigh, okay? So the hands are going to travel much less distance than the golf club, okay? And what this allows me to do is to create the perfect hinge. And what has happened here is my lead arm has stayed underneath my shoulder. I haven't moved it further away, and I haven't tucked it into my body. So I'm keeping this as a constant movement there. So I'm only moving it from here to around about here, and at the same time, we're getting the wrist hinge there. Now the wrist hinge reference point, the shaft of the club is going to be parallel to the feet and the target. The face angle is going to be parallel to the spine. Now we don't just move the wrist angles upwards because that often opens the club face. And we don't move the wrist angles inside because that often closes the club face. We're moving the wrist angles at approximately 45 degrees. Now this is with a neutral grip. And the grip becomes really important because it obviously is going to affect how you adjust this face angle. Now as a golf coach, we hate changing grips because we know it makes you feel really uncomfortable. And again, sometimes I think we have to make an adjustment. If we go into the grip and it's, let's say, the right hand the trail hand there is super strong, and so is the left hand. If I try and hinge it to 45 degrees, I can do, but the face closes a little bit. And as I get to the top of the backswing, the face gets really shut, and the club face is going to come back down super closed, and we're going to hit the ball left. And often what you'll do then to stop the ball going left is you might start moving the golf club open on the way down. You might start kind of wafting it more inside and opening the face, and that's just to try and accommodate that poor grip position. So whilst I don't say you have to have a perfect neutral grip, give yourself some parameters. You want to be close to perfect, okay? because you're going to be able to use your hands better. And the pain of a grip change is well worth it, and it doesn't last that long. I think if you do the grip change correctly, you do it properly, you do the correct reps, you hold yourself accountable, it doesn't take that long to change it. And also, you're going to be able to control this face angle so much better. And at the end of the day, where this points, this ball will go. And if you've got your hands in the wrong, completely the wrong position, you're going to have very little control. And I could go on and on. The knock-on effect of having little control, what you're going to naturally do, you're going to slow your swing speed down because you don't want to hit the ball too far offline. Now you're losing distance. You just spend this whole time manipulating your way through. And if you've started with that poor posture from the start and a poor grip, everything that you do for that whole golf swing is going to be manipulation upon manipulation upon manipulation, and you're never going to be that consistent. Now, you can come straight back at me. There's outliers. There's golfers on tour with super strong grips, super strong club faces, but they're the best in the world. They're not me and you, okay? So really important that we just try and get something that's relatively close. Now, going back onto wrist angles, that 45-degree angle is really key, because I see so many players panicking about extension of the lead wrist at the top of the backswing getting cupped. Now, again, cupped can only be bad if the club face is open, okay? If you've got a slightly stronger grip on that left hand, you want to be cupped, because if you're not cupped and you're into that straight lead wrist position, that club face becomes super closed again. So where you are at the top of the backswing is only relevant to how you were at the start. So again, don't get drawn in by these fads that you see online about bowing the lead wrist. It depends where your grip is, okay? So what I want to try and do is just give you that kind of neutral feel and let you work around it from there. These videos can't be directly related to you, the viewer, personally, because there's a lot of you watching and you've all got different faults, and unless you know exactly what you're looking for, it's hard. So that is why I do online coaching, because golfers come to me for specific changes to their swings, okay? So what I'm doing here is going with that neutral grip. The feel in here is a 45-degree angle, because if you think about it, it's set up here, this shaft angle relative to the ground, it's a bit more than 45 degrees, but I always like to use 45 degrees as a generic angle. So let's say 45 degrees. I'm going to move my wrist angles 45 degrees in that backswing, in that takeaway. Gets me into that perfect takeaway position. As I move into what I call P3, which is around about halfway up the backswing, shaft angle now is parallel to that alignment stick there. It's about 45 degrees again, if you'd agree. We swing up to the top. As we start to come back down, it's in that 45 degrees. We've still got the wrist set, and this wrist set has been a constant from the start of the golf swing, okay? So I've not had to manipulate anything. I'm going to release it, and I'm going to go into a 45-degree follow-through position, okay? This is not a flip. For the golfers that flip it, you might see your club face do this, rotate, very rare I see that one, or I see that one, where the club exits really low underneath that left shoulder, and that right wrist has done this as you come through impact. Again, it could be another way of you rescuing it. So 45 degrees is literally the magic number in the golf swing. Okay, like I say, I've not had my protractor out. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's a brilliant reference point for all of you to look at. Okay, so this is why these are so good. So as I set up, I'm not going outside of it. I'm not going miles inside of it. I'm getting it pretty much level with it. I can't quite reach it, so it's just out of range. I'm going to swing up to the top, and then as I come back down, I'm definitely not going to reach it because I'm going to be more compressed and more left as I come into the ball. So it's just a little bit out of range, but it's a perfect reference point. If I try and get this kind of too wide on this takeaway and I don't use much wrist, I'm going to hit it, okay? So I like to see a bit more of a narrow takeaway, hands going just outside that lead thigh, wrist set ready, so I'm not too, there we are, I don't want to go there. I'm just going to keep it in nice and tight. Right elbows hinge naturally into my body. Lovely turn up to the top. I can move into that downswing. So straight away, with a relatively neutral grip, a relatively neutral posture, and a relatively neutral takeaway with the correct wrist set, we've got a good chance of keeping this club face square and getting this ball to its intended target. One drill that I really like for this is just a little preset drill, and you see the best players in the world doing it. They take the set up, just check it, get you in the right position, over the ball. I'm going to preset, check it, I'm going to bring my eyes away from the golf ball, I'm going to check I'm happy with the position, I'm going to feel my right elbow nice and soft into my body, back to the ball, turn and hit. So straight away I've gone into a perfect takeaway position, I've checked the position, and I've not allowed myself to go and finish the swing until it's perfect. So I'm able to start to feel and see, and it creates that better routine every time I go and play. And when you get onto the golf course, obviously you won't do a preset drill, but what I would do on the golf course then, you go through your routine, you've got your practice swings, you've done your alignment, you're just over the golf ball, you're looking down the target line. The last thing you do, get that feel really fresh. Get that feel really fresh in your brain. And off it goes. Beautiful execution, middle of the green. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you would like personalised coaching for myself, the link to my Skillist app is down in the description below. Guys, thanks for watching.